Welcome to Teen to MD. Today, we're diving into a fascinating idea. How much of your life is actually decided for you long before you even make a choice? We like to believe that our choices are completely our own. It feels empowering, right? To think that every decision, what we eat, how we get to work, where we shop, how we spend our free time is a product of our independent will. It feels like these are personal preferences, shaped by our unique personalities and intentions. But the more I observe daily life, the more I realize something profound. Many of what we call choices are quietly shaped by the world around us, by the infrastructure, long before we consciously decide anything. When you hear the word infrastructure, you probably think of big things like roads, bridges, and public transit systems. And you're not wrong. But infrastructure is so much more than that. It's the layout of your local grocery store. It's the design of your neighborhood. It's the availability of sidewalks or even the placement of a vending machine in your office. It even extends to the digital world, like the way apps are structured and the platforms we use every day. Think of infrastructure as the menu of options presented to us. If something isn't accessible, convenient, or even visible on that menu, it rarely becomes a real option for us to choose from. Let's be honest, as humans, we are wired to take the path of least resistance. Convenience almost always becomes our default behavior. If a neighborhood is built without sidewalks, guess what? Fewer people will walk. It's not that they've made a conscious decision against walking. It's just not the easy or safe thing to do. If the bus system is unreliable and slow, driving becomes the automatic choice for anyone who owns a car. If healthy, fresh food is miles away, but fast food joints are on every corner, our eating patterns naturally shift. These outcomes aren't always a result of a deliberate, well-thought-out decision. They simply emerge from what the infrastructure around us makes most convenient. The path of least resistance becomes the path most traveled. This silent influence has a huge, measurable impact on our health, both physical and mental. Urban planning is a perfect example. Cities designed with plenty of green spaces and parks naturally encourage people to get outside and be active. Walkable communities with shops and services within a short stroll increase our daily physical activity without us even trying. It's just incidental movement. Quiet, well-lit public areas can reduce stress and make us feel safer, encouraging more social interaction. The incredible thing is, none of this requires a conscious decision from the residents to be healthier or be more social. The environment itself subtly shapes our routines and behaviors. Infrastructure can either be a silent partner in our well-being or an invisible barrier, all without us actively choosing one or the other. And this principle isn't just limited to the physical world. It's just as powerful, if not more so, in our digital lives. Think about your social media feeds. They are meticulously structured to maximize your engagement, to keep you scrolling. The notifications that pop up on your phone are scientifically designed to capture your attention and pull you back in. The algorithms that power these platforms prioritize certain types of content, showing you what they think you want to see. We might believe we are freely choosing what to watch or read, but the very architecture of the platform is influencing what appears first and what feels most urgent. This digital infrastructure shapes our cognitive patterns, our focus, and even our moods in ways that feel intensely personal but are, in fact, structurally guided. Sometimes the influence isn't about pushing you towards one specific option, but about making alternatives seem impossible. Let's talk about cities that are designed entirely around cars. If you live in a place like that, the idea of biking to work might feel completely unrealistic, even if you genuinely prefer it. The lack of safe bike lanes and the sheer distance might make it a non-starter. Or think about our education system. When schools place a heavy emphasis on standardized testing, other forms of learning, like creative exploration or project-based work, can seem secondary or less important. When systems are built around a specific set of priorities, they naturally shape what feels normal and what feels like a fringe activity. Infrastructure doesn't just offer choices. It defines the very boundaries within which we make our decisions. The economy is another massive piece of this puzzle. Economic infrastructure directs our consumption habits every single day. Things like pricing structures, zoning laws that determine where stores can be built, and the entire retail distribution system all guide our behavior as consumers. Government subsidies can make certain products, like corn or gasoline, cheaper and therefore more accessible and widely used. The placement of supermarkets directly affects which communities have access to fresh produce and which are stuck in food deserts. These large-scale patterns influence our spending, our diets, and our overall lifestyle habits, all without requiring us to consciously deliberate on each purchase. We are all operating within these complex systems that channel our behavior in very predictable directions. Over time, these repeated patterns shaped by infrastructure become our social norms. They become our culture. If everyone in your city drives, then driving feels like the standard, default way to live. If most of our social and professional communication happens online, then being constantly connected feels normal and expected. Infrastructure doesn't just influence a single choice. It stabilizes behavior across a whole population by embedding it into the fabric of our daily routines. What begins as a simple structural convenience eventually evolves into a deeply ingrained social habit. Now, recognizing the powerful influence of infrastructure doesn't mean we have no free will. It doesn't mean individuals lack agency. We can absolutely resist these defaults. We can go out of our way to find the bike path, to seek out the farmer's market, or to consciously limit our screen time. But having this awareness changes everything. It helps us see that many patterns we might attribute purely to personal preference are, in reality, partially systemic. Understanding this shifts how we think about responsibility. Sometimes creating real lasting change isn't about nagging individuals to make better decisions. It's about redesigning the systems themselves to make better choices the easier choices. So, to wrap this all up, infrastructure influences our lives long before we even begin to make a conscious choice. By shaping what is convenient, what is visible, and what is accessible, these hidden systems guide our behavior in subtle but incredibly powerful ways. What feels like a deeply personal preference often reflects a structural design. Recognizing this doesn't remove our individual responsibility, but it dramatically expands our understanding of the world. True freedom of choice depends not only on our own intentions, but on the environments that quietly shape what is possible in the first place. Thank you so much for watching. If this made you think, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that challenges the way we see the world. See you next time.